Justin Baldoni just tore into Blake Lively in open court, exposing what's now being called a shocking bribery scandal. And this time, it's not some polished PR stunt. The evidence is messy, loud, and legally serious. What was supposed to be a routine deposition quickly turned into a full-blown spectacle. The court had finally locked in Blake Lively's deposition for July 17th, but instead of following standard legal procedure, she refused to appear at opposing counsel Brian Friedman's office. Instead, she demanded the deposition be held at her own legal team's luxury office in Beverly Hills. Her justification: extreme safety risks, but there were no police reports, no documented threats, no real proof, just vague claims wrapped in celebrity privilege. And somehow, that was enough to disrupt the normal legal process. This move stunned legal experts across the board. In typical cases, whether it's billion-dollar lawsuits or everyday disputes, the rule is simple: you show up where the opposing counsel sets the deposition. No exceptions. But Blake didn't just bend the rules, she tried to rewrite them. Critics argue this wasn't about safety at all. It was about control. At the opposing lawyer's office, she'd face tough questioning in an environment she couldn't control. At her own team's office, everything could be managed, curated, and contained. That's where the real controversy exploded. Legal analysts and commentators quickly called out what they saw as blatant favoritism. Civil rights attorney Omar Balba even went on national television, calling the situation unprecedented, stressing that no one should be allowed to choose the battlefield in a legal fight. Because in the real world, the system doesn't bend for comfort. It demands accountability. The real shock wasn't just Blake's request, it was how easily it was approved. Across legal media, from court TV to Law and Crime, experts warned that this could set a dangerous precedent. If celebrities can dictate the terms of their own depositions, it undermines the very idea of equal treatment under the law. This wasn't just a scheduling change. It was a power move, one that many believe chips away at the foundation of procedural fairness. And now, the question everyone's asking: if the rules can change for the powerful, what does that mean for everyone else? The scandal only deepened as the court approved Blake Lively's demands without any verified threat assessments, documentation, or evidentiary hearing, effectively suggesting that celebrity status alone could influence legal procedure. What followed was explosive. Brian Friedman, lead attorney for Justin Baldoni, fired back with a devastating 87-page objection, accusing Blake Lively of manipulating court optics to protect her public image while undermining the fairness of the case. His filing wasn't just argument. It came loaded with exhibits, including internal security records showing no credible threats, no police reports, and no real evidence to justify her claims. Even more damaging were leaked internal emails between her PR team and legal advisors, revealing that her deposition was being treated as a staged PR recovery event, complete with discussions about optics, messaging, and controlled environments. According to Friedman, this wasn't about safety, it was about control. In a bold escalation, he even moved to have the presiding judge recused, citing potential conflicts of interest and raising serious questions about judicial impartiality. What began as a routine legal proceeding had now turned into a high-stakes battle over truth, privilege, and the integrity of the justice system itself. Standing firm, Brian Friedman delivered a chilling statement in court, declaring that this case was never about safety, but about silencing the defendant and carefully staging a media narrative. Representing Justin Baldoni, he made it clear that Blake Lively wasn't avoiding danger, she was avoiding accountability. What followed pushed the controversy into overdrive. Alleged leaks from inside the court revealed that Judge Gerald Michaels had quietly dismissed multiple key claims from Baldoni's side without hearings, including a subpoena tied to communications that could have shifted the entire narrative. Within days, the situation exploded online, with legal creators and analysts dissecting a pattern of rulings that appeared overwhelmingly in Blake's favor, sparking outrage across social media. Then came even more damaging allegations. A whistleblower claim suggesting a large donation linked to a nonprofit associated with the judge's circle, raising serious questions about timing, transparency, and potential conflicts of interest. As hashtags surged and online investigations intensified, the story rapidly transformed from a courtroom dispute into a full-blown public scandal. The narrative flipped completely, with Blake no longer seen as a victim of media pressure, but as a central figure in what many began calling a potential judicial cover-up, while the judge himself became a symbol of a system now under intense scrutiny. The next move didn't come from the internet. It came straight from the heart of the courtroom battle. By July 18th, Justin Baldoni had reached his limit, stepping outside the courthouse to deliver a blunt, explosive statement that this was no longer just a legal case, but a full-blown cover-up. The moment went viral instantly, but he didn't stop there. Within minutes, a now-deleted Instagram story surfaced, allegedly showing a redacted email linking a PR agent connected to Blake Lively with a judicial aide, discussing timing and narrative control ahead of her deposition approval. Whether admissible or not, it shattered the line between public image and private dealings, igniting a massive public backlash. In less than 24 hours, over 1 million signatures flooded a petition demanding a judicial ethics investigation, as legal analysts, celebrities, and even former prosecutors joined the outcry. What began as outrage quickly turned into a movement, with Baldoni emerging as a symbol of resistance against a system many now viewed as compromised. His legal team escalated immediately, filing motions to reopen discovery, investigate alleged bribery, and conduct a full forensic review of court communications, accusing the process of bias and suppression. Behind the scenes, reports indicated that an internal judicial probe had already begun, placing the judge's office under scrutiny and locking down court operations. What started as a single case had now evolved into a high-stakes battle over the integrity of the entire justice system, and it was far from over. As the courtroom dynamics finally began to level out, the pressure shifted hard onto Blake Lively and her legal team, with attorney Stephanie Jones visibly shaken as she rushed to file an emergency gag order against Justin Baldoni, accusing him of poisoning the public narrative, an argument few were willing to accept after waves of leaks and mounting evidence had already gone public. The move backfired instantly, especially as subpoenas targeting online creators and influencers sparked backlash, with many refusing to comply and openly accusing Lively's camp of trying to silence criticism. What followed only deepened the crisis. Rumors swirled that Ryan Reynolds had quietly pulled financial support, distancing himself as public opinion turned, while a high-powered crisis PR firm attempted damage control by dismissing the allegations as conspiracy, only to be met with even more skepticism online. Meanwhile, cracks began appearing across the media landscape itself, with reports of legal analysts facing pressure not to cover the scandal, and some even stepping away in protest. By the time Baldoni's team filed their next explosive motion, labeled Exhibit H, the controversy had escalated far beyond a celebrity dispute, revealing a suspicious $250,000 transfer allegedly tied to a shell company connected to Lively's inner circle, pushing the narrative from courtroom drama into what many now saw as a full-scale institutional crisis. What emerged next turned suspicion into something far more serious. A $250,000 transfer traced back to a shell company, allegedly linked to Blake Lively, surfaced just days before her controversial deposition approval, with no clear explanation from her defense. As investigators dug deeper, the same entity appeared tied to prior image rehabilitation efforts and unusually timed payments, raising questions about intent, timing, and influence. The situation escalated further when the transaction was linked to an internal strategy labeled Project Athena, reportedly outlining coordinated efforts around media narrative, reputation management, and legal positioning. With financial trails now intersecting with legal decisions, watchdog groups filed formal complaints against Judge Gerald Michaels, triggering calls for audits, subpoenas, and a broader investigation into judicial conduct. Under mounting pressure, Michaels moved to recuse himself, though critics argued the decision came too late to undo potential damage. With the case reassigned and a new hearing scheduled under Judge Lenora Hart, known for her strict stance on courtroom conduct, the entire dynamic shifted. What began as a high-profile dispute had now transformed into a critical test of accountability, where influence, credibility, and the integrity of the legal system itself were all on the line.